Panda Anthem.
Ian, what's up?
Red Panda Anthem.
Red Panda, what's good?
Red Panda Anthem.
It's your boy.
Okay, let's talk about this. Stock market. The futures market ended relatively flat on the S&P. How much longer before the market begins to go back up? This is what everybody wants to know. How much more pain do people have to suffer?
I think we have about 6 more weeks. So lumber prices are finally settling. Inflation is going to be bad for a little bit longer, but it's not going to be as bad as everyone predicted it would be. You can mark your calendars. You have about 6 more weeks of pain to go through. I think it is going to be very clear very soon that we're going to have a change in terms of political structure that will bring some consistency in the market, because people hate to invest when there's uncertainty. So when you have a clear plan, clear landscape of what's going to happen, it's a lot easier to invest. There are a couple of markets that you can invest in and still do incredibly well in, but overall, the next 6 weeks will be tough. And then after that, we'll start to smooth out and then be okay. So I know some people are like, hey, should I take all of my money out? No, you still want to invest for the long term. But for those of you that are trading as well, ease up a little bit on the downside, because we aren't going to have these incredible moves to the downside as much. And then once you see hedge funds start to pour in a little bit more money, we'll be fine. But give it 6 more weeks, 8 tops, and then we'll start to balance out. I believe by end of the year, we should only be up maybe 6 to maybe 9% on the year in terms of the S&P 500. So we'll be flat. But for traders, it's great because the volatility has been fantastic, like this first quarter or so. So yeah, give it 6 weeks and we'll be all right.
Jan Hatzus, he's a Goldman Sachs chief economist. He predicted that there's a 15% chance of recession within the next 12 months, 35% chance over the next 2 years. Mm-hmm. And so that's good news.
What'd you say?
He's a Goldman Sachs chief economist. He had a prediction scale. So like, I think last week, a couple of firms came out and said that we're headed toward recession, but they never gave a percentage with it. And so based on his calculations, based on obviously all of the factors that would lead to recession, they said there's a 15% chance in the next 12 months. And for the next 2 years, 35% chance of a recession.
So if Biden gets knocked out of office and we get a Republican president, which
that
probably will, go back to the 1950s and do every election since and see the probability of being in a recession under a Republican leader versus Democratic leader. Now, some Republicans can argue Democrats caused the mess and we get the blame. That would be the case this time. But during a Republican presidency, we tend to have more recessions. So, and those are like, I know people look at the R word as like a bad word. Those are times when you can start to build generational wealth. So me personally, in 2008, when 2008 happened, I was like, I'll vow to never miss out on these opportunities ever again. And that's when I began to like really, really hone in and master my craft around this market. When we hit the recession, everyone listening, I'm begging you to do the same. Like learn this market like the back of your hand, and you'll be able to make some incredible money. And the crazy part, I didn't know how to trade then, which is a gift and a curse. But if you can invest long-term and trade in a recession, you know, for those of you who were at Apollo, you saw Troy put up the billboard. Those are some big numbers you can hit for sure in a recession. So enjoy it. Please enjoy it.
Yeah,
new billboard soon come.
What I'm realizing too is that a lot of these projections are actually guesses, because if you look at the last 2 recessions, nobody predicted that. Nobody predicted. You predicted coronavirus.
I predicted a recession in 2020 for sure. In 2018, I did.
Well, why did you predict it? Because the recession was for a global pandemic.
It was a mathematical calculation. Like I know people make jokes about the crystal ball, but like when I went and did the mathematical calculations on when we were hit. For the women who were trading with me in 2018, like I said, hey, put 2020 in chat if you were there. Like I said, it was going to hit for sure in 2020.
What mathematical equation are you using?
I can't give that on your
theory.
Huh?
I said we could have based it on your theory, right? We said every 8 years or 12 years, right? We've been on an uptrend, right? So at some point there's going to be a pullback. There's going to be a catastrophic event based on just your theory.
Yeah, I mean that's just
theoretically, right?
Yeah, that's just like.
But I look at leadership though.
That just happens over the course of time.
That's what I'm saying.
But I'm saying nobody predicted coronavirus.
No. Well, one person did. I forgot her name. Oh my God, what is her name? If you go to Tim Ferriss's podcast, She actually did predict it in 2018.
Well,
That's it was in a book.
Well, there's
Yeah.
and it's like what you call it too. What was it? Bill Gates. He gave a TED talk, and
that was scary.
he gave a TED talk.
That was a little
It's
crazy.
easy to predict something that
Allegedly.
All right. China.
All right, Microsoft.
China. Do any China stocks excite you?
I actually like Alibaba. I mean, I may need it to drop.
I'm happy you said that.
Maybe if it drops another $20. Listen, Mike clipped this up. Nikki clipped this up for a 5-year hold. So if you hold any less than, it's not going to work well. I like Alibaba. I want to like Tencent. It's not there yet. There are a couple other stocks there that have potential, but Alibaba is the only one right now that I'm excited about. And if it drops like $20 lower than what it is right now.
I'm with you on Alibaba. I want to know your thoughts though. Charlie Munger, obviously last week, if anybody wasn't familiar with, vice chairman of Berkshire Hathaway, he sold half his stake in Alibaba, over 300,000 shares. Did that have any impact on your feelings on Alibaba? Or it's like, all right, Charlie, we don't have to agree. I mean, one of the greatest investors, but we don't always have to go with what they're doing, right? A lot of people will say follow what the wealthy people are doing.
Absolutely, because there are certain things he may know geopolitically, and if we hit a recession, man, Alibaba could fall to like an all-time record low for a company with that kind of market cap.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't buy it. Right now, it's not a good price, but if it did fall $20 lower, $30 lower, I'd be happy. This definitely has to be a 5-year hold because geopolitically, we cannot change a lot of the things that are happening there. But that's the one stock in China that I'm like, if it falls to a certain price, I am elated to grab it. So, and I'll say this, I wouldn't put it in a primary account. Number 2, I would probably create a separate account. So for my investors and traders, like if you have a long-term account, a swing account, let's say you have like a speculation account that you don't look at every day, put it in that account. So, because if you draw down 20%, you don't want it to bleed your main portfolio. But if you just tuck it away for maybe 2 or 3 years, you may look up one day and you may be up 60, 80% and be happy with that gain. But I wouldn't put it like in my primary for it all.
Yeah. I like Alibaba for a couple of reasons. When I started looking at its comparison to that and Amazon, obviously we know what AWS is for Amazon, but Alibaba, they control a large percentage of the cloud service in China as well. And so when they're looking at percentages wise of what, the cloud expansion is going to look like in mainland China, they're talking about a 60% growth by 2027. Yeah. And so if they own, I think right now they control 30% of the cloud service on mainland China. And so if they control that large of a percentage and there's potential growth there, it makes sense. I like it in that sense. They have almost 1.3 billion users on their platform, which is, that's a large percentage of the world, really. So those 2 reasons I like it. Outside of it being China, and obviously I've learned my lesson with, dealing with some Chinese stocks. I like those 2 factors. Yeah,
because the geopolitical risk is the only thing that terrifies me. So for my investors and traders, like the geopolitical stuff is worse than like a market maker deciding to like flood the market on the short side, or even like hedge funds deciding to short it. So you're probably going to have to hold it through this most recent recession. And then if we get another one in 24, 25, end of 24, early 25, you want to hold through. But if you hold it until 27, 28, you can have a nice home run. So, but investing has considerable risks. This is not a crystal ball guarantee. I'm just telling you, you're going to have to hold it for at least 5, ideally 10. But yeah, if you're looking for a dark horse, Alibaba is the one I like.
Yeah.
Right
and
now.
we just saw Didi. They're on the verge of being delisted. Yeah. Whew. Stock took a beating today. I think it was down 20%.
And I know some of you are going to trade it. If you're going to trade it, do it for one day and be done. But do not hold DD for anything longer than that. Please don't do it. It's too much a risk.
Any others? 10-cent? Any other?
I like the idea of 10 cent, but just geopolitically, I can't afford to. Man, like imagine if you owned a grocery store on a block that Omar from The Wire was like walking up. You could have a prime location, but if no customers want to come there, what are you going to do? He's going to scare everybody off the block. That is China's political structure currently. as viewed through an American lens, yes, I am caping. So just letting you know, I wouldn't do it. Hell no. Hell no. Can you guys put in chat if you know anybody who's bought anything related to Neo? Merch, anything. Look at revenue, look at net income. I wouldn't touch it right now.
Not rocking with Neo. Shout out to Neo. That was a good trade.
This that Red Panda anthem.
Ian, what's up?
This that Red Panda anthem.
Red Panda,
This
what's
that
good?
Red Panda anthem. Whole
boy.
clip going up. I know they can't stand it.